Hi guys, this is Sidney. This is the another second video of sharing what I'm eating to share or introduce to anyone resonating with some of the healthy diets that they can start incorporating if they resonate. Of course, if you don't, it may be not for you, right? So always discern with your own heart and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So sorry, I have some food in my mouth. I was having this meal now, and there was a debate going on in my head whether to share this or not. But the Gaia and Source and my spirit team really wanted me to continue for some reason. And it's all part of the DNA generation that is being required as we are embodying all this high frequency light into our physical body. And it has to activate DNA strands. And a lot of the foods that we are consuming or that we can get readily or it's available through restaurants or grocery stores, convenience stores, it's all full of chemicals because it's all contaminated. And they want me to speak about certain things that I also have discovered throughout my own research and under divine guidance. So I will just flow with it. And I decided, okay, I will just go ahead. So first I'm going to show you. This is what I have. I cooked some quinoa with leftover black mushroom. And some avocado. And then I have seaweed to use as a wrap. I eat the whole thing usually. And then this is what I made like 2 days before. This is in a way more like a lot of vegetables and balsamic vinegar and a lot of spices like cayenne pepper, Celtic salt, chopped ginger, chopped garlic, cinnamon powder, what is it? Coriander powder, turmeric powder, and what else? A little bit of agave syrup, just to balance out the acidic taste in the vinegar, and what else? Some herbs in there, parsley and basil. And then these are like cut vegetables with some beetroot, onions, and then I finely chopped the dried figs, and then white radish, Asian radish, and pea sprouts, and then this green cabbage, purple cabbage. What else did I put in here? Yeah, so that's it. That's about it. And then I mix them all together with olive oil. So these are all organic ingredients that I was able to get, all of this, except seaweed. It's not verified. I was able to get like clean water and clean source, because a lot of the times you can see that seaweeds, they bleach and they color something. So I remember getting one package when I was in Kota Kinabalu, and when I had the taste or smelled it, intuitively, it tastes a little bit funky to me, so I just didn't eat it. So, and then I mentioned this, in order for us to it's going to be very useful to have the iodine absorb into the body with a lot of selenium, and the Brazil nut is very good for that. So I threw in just a few of them there. Which spices did I put in there? And some, I think I put in some 5 spices that I got from here, where it's like cardamom with like anise like powder type, and all of those spices basically, that a lot of the spices that you could find in Indian stores and all the shops, but here it's readily available because I really enjoy this mixed culture here, where it's like Indian culture, Chinese, Malay, some Indonesian. It's all mixed together, and I used to also enjoy a lot of Indian food like curry, so I was able to get all these beautiful ingredients from Gaia. There were a lot of people who worked very diligently to deliver this to me through all these different channels and all the stores. So I appreciate everybody who are in the process so I could get this food on my table. So I'm blessing these foods because I genuinely am feeling grateful, and I enjoy eating them. So I'm gonna show how I do because I grew up eating seaweed. And now another thing that I would like to also share. So basically, my spirit team, Gaia and Source, they want me to share all these discoveries that I researched, that I did, that I made on foods and all this food supply thus far. And I always encourage you to do your own independent research. And after listening to all these so-called pros and cons and different perspectives, because everybody has different stories, different remedies that work for them, different experiences, but our body is unique, and your vibration is unique, and your journey is unique. So you have to, at the end of the day, discover your own ways, which may be seen as extra work, but that's part of the conditioning, because we are used to chase after quick fixes, and that other things are time consuming, that it takes too much work, and a lot of this so on and so forth, that's blocking the flow of discovering what is really the truth. So I have this seaweed with me, and I put the rice, not rice, but like for me, I just refer to it as rice because I grew up eating rice like this with some avocado. I love having avocado with the seaweed wrap, and some of these vegetables. So this is, for me, it's like I put in a lot of cayenne pepper because in a way this is for me like more of like different version of the kimchi that I grew up with. I'm not just using a lot of other ingredients like soy sauce or fermented seafood paste and all of that, but so I just make a wrap. And in Korea we call this sam, where sometimes when you have like grilled pork, and nowadays it's widely available, it's well known, so I can, a lot of people are exposed to Korean food and culture, so we call this sam. And this is, you can do this with like whole vegetable leaf, and then what we do is we just put everything into our mouth, everything just at once. I enjoy it. So, I put in some papaya seeds here for parasite cleansing or stomach balancing. Papaya seeds are very good for that. And for that, you also need some iodine support, especially zinc, selenium. And you can find different sources of these minerals and different seeds, fruits, vegetables, as you do your own research. And something that they want me to share about it is when you do your own research, whatever you Google on Google, like Google on Google, you put into search on Google, it's popping up with a lot of research and different things. And what I've noticed over the years was the Harvard study says, or the scientific research of this authority institution with authority, like internationally so-called, they say when you do this, it's dangerous, or too much of this or that. And also with fasting and all of these research that I have done, and not just after the surgery, but somehow all my life, even though I chose to experience all this diet issues and this like sugar addiction and food addiction, which was part of the journey for me to come to this point. I was always drawn to researching like food and like all this like ingredients and nutrition for some reason. It was tied to my past life, where I received the information that I was a DNA scientist living and working in USA at the time. So it made sense to me why I was really drawn to like studying those things, and very naturally. So all these like different lifetimes and experiences that I had was like part of the bigger plan. So past lives and this life and what you went through in this lifetime is all part of the big plan. And once you wake up to it, you start to remember, and everything starts to, it's like what Steve Jobs said, in hindsight, the spots, what I forgot how he said exactly, in hindsight you can connect the dots. So you will come to a point of realization, especially when you do a lot of spiritual work and you're raising your vibration. There will be divine timing that will show you certain, or connect you to certain information. And even though you may try really hard before the divine timing, it may not show up. You could do a lot of research, but a piece of the puzzle or the information may not be coming because if it's not the timing. So it has been very interesting, and I had to understand how this way works, especially since 2018. But even before that, all my life, I started to understand, even when I was in amnesia and complete darkness, I was going through a lot of different things, and I was able to navigate through this with my intuition. So, and I didn't know that I had psychic abilities back then, but even back then I was having all these precognitive dreams where I would dream about things that would happen exactly the next day, or in 3 days, 5 days, or how people really were. And so I understood why. And with that, the message that the source and Gaia and my spirit team want me to share right now is that you're always on your path. So extreme searching, seeking, looking for the answers or the ultimate destination is only going to put you in that pattern of addiction, meaning like old patterns of repeating cycle where your ego is playing you out basically. So you're going to get caught up in that rut. And so to get out of it, you have to stop seeking, which is a different pattern that you need to embody. And everybody can do this. Everybody can do this, but it just takes a lot of willpower, determination, your dedication, consistent effort, right? And always choosing faith over fear in the process is what is really required. And when you go through these different changes with these simple principles, even though you go back and forth, whenever you come back to it, you're going to shift, transform, transcend anything because you're that powerful. So with the nutrition, when you do research, you will come across a lot of these like institutions with authority or educational facilities with authorities or the corporations with authorities saying that our research says, for example, there was like, I learned that there was like a Harvard research that shared the results that nicotine is not addictive, for example, and then people will start to smoke. But behind the scenes, who would have passed this results? There are a lot of hidden agendas and manipulation behind all these educational systems or institutions, voice of authority right now at this time, research centers. So people may be very confused. So that's why it's always useful and powerful to tap into your own intuition to discern, because we naturally know. For example, back in when I was in corporate, days, I was always feeling tired and fatigued. And I remember like I had my first taste of coffee when I was like in freshman in university. Before, I never had coffee, and when I first tasted the coffee, I was like, I didn't like it. Like, it was too bitter, and just whenever I drank a little bit, my heart would pound really fast. So I would say I hated Americano, for example. And but then as part of the coffee culture was growing, when you meet up with friends, hang out, we go to cafes and we have to order something. And then that's how we get all influenced by the environment, and what other people are doing unconsciously and subconsciously is all part of the programming. So I started to order a little bit of latte, and then with a lot of like sugar inside, like sweet syrup, like chocolate fudge, something mocha, like something like that. So that's how everything started. And then I started to get a bit, and then the heart pounding, which means it's not good for, it's not incompatible with your system. But over time, you build tolerance. And at one point, it's part of the system right now. When you're in a corporate structure, especially, you go have lunch with your colleagues or whoever you want to have lunch with, and then it's usually the drink after, like coffee, because everyone's tired, everyone's working under pressure, anxiety, stress. So they need the energy, quick fix boost. And at first it's gonna work like magic. And I remember when I was in London, there was this like really well-known coffee place, and I met up with a friend, and we had the pastry and the coffee, and the coffee was like tasted really good, like cafe latte. And that day I came home and I wasn't able to sleep. Like I was like all night long, awake all night long, and my heart was like beating really, really fast. So I was really worried, and I came to a conclusion: is maybe it's the coffee. So I went to the it's a Mammoth Coffee, I think. I went to the coffee shop the next day once again and asked how many shots are in there. And usually it's like a single shot, and nowadays like double shot is like the standard. But that coffee shop was well known for like more shots of coffee, so they had like triple shots or something, and it was having the effect on my body. And so on and so forth. And then later, when I was working in office, I was always tired, fatigued, and going through all this like stuff that was affecting my health. I had to work, right? And I was always sleep deprived. And so I used to take iced coffee like throughout the day, like I don't know, 3 or 4 cups, because I had to stay awake and I had to perform. I had to produce these results that I was under pressure with. And so that's how you get addicted to all this high boost of energy. But once you get off coffee, slowly, from my own experience, there are so many natural ways that's like much better than coffee, like breathing with your nose, and just like it's better than coffee. It's like 20/20 vision all of a sudden. Or a cold shower is one of the things that I used to take a cold shower when I was in Korea. Here, the water is not as cold, but especially in wintertime, I really enjoyed because it's going to help with the muscle pain and the inflammation, and also it's going to really stimulate the brain chemicals. And what I used to do was I would take a little bit of warm shower and then like turn it like all the way to cold. When it was like freezing minus like 10-15 outside, the water is like really cold too. And then I would slowly increase the time of the exposure to the coldness over time, so the body has to get used to it. So you don't want to do everything just because it's good, like pour everything like all at once, because you have to be very kind, very delicate with your body, very observant, and listen and communicate with your body, because this is all other consciousness. So you want to work in hand and cooperate with the body, not just shove everything all at once, because that's what we've been programmed with, whatever that's good, that's best for you. And so that's why they came up with this marketing term called superfoods, right? Whatever that it says, superfoods, immediately it activates a part of the conditioned mind that it must be good, and then we start purchasing them in hopes that it's going to work like magic. And we don't do any research on how it's working. And also, so the cold shower I really benefited from and I really enjoy. And here, I try to take the shower after a little bit of workout or exercise. The exercise that I do is more like breathing and stretching and different for the spine health and the brain health, and then for the heart health, something like that. So that cold exposure, you can look into also Wim Hof breathing and the cold therapy in a way, like cold shower, cold plunging. He's like the pioneer in that area. So even before 2018, I was really into all this self development and growth and all this stuff in the entrepreneurship and all of that, even when I was in the corporate world, because I felt like I was enslaving myself, and the system was not no different than medieval age, just that we dress differently, we are in a different setting, we are in buildings, but how we are being treated and how the system is being built, there's no different. We didn't have sovereignty. So I already had this inner knowing, I guess, from my soul, and I start to recognize more and more. And even way before that, I knew what the media was doing when I was working in the communications consulting for a little bit. That like all this advertisement, and I used to wonder and question, and I just felt like, wow, you don't have to really know what the company is doing, but you can come up with beautiful lines of advertisements where it shows humanity and compassion, and they tie that to the company brand and the logo, and that's how they create the company image, the corporate image and branding and all of that. So I was like experiencing it, all of that. So anyways, the cold shower and then the Wim Hof breathing is basically you breathe in air and you lock in the air within your body. This is something that I also used to do, and this was actually how my third eye activated. I would say accidentally, but nothing is an accident, but in divine timing, because every night I was practicing all these things, even though I was in the corporate structure, in a way, because I wanted to get out of it. I was like desperate, and I wanted to use my desperation as my drive and fuel at the time, because I knew that it's going to really push me. And so I really like used that as my drive at the time to learn, to grow myself, and to incorporate all these different practices. I was listening to like tons of podcasts all the time, because I started to notice that what people are doing on the train, because I had the 50-minute commute on the train every day, and I noticed people playing games, or they're either doing online shopping or scrolling, or some men are doing like all this stock investing, and they're putting all their energy into it, and nobody, like nowadays with the phone, reading much or doing or anything. And I was like doing my own investigation and research. Every time I'm on the train, I just look at these people, observe, and just like 95%, I don't know about now, but back then, before 2018, so about 2014, between 2014 to 2018, that was what I've been observing. And also I've started to notice whenever we have lunch with the colleagues, we go out to these places and we line up, and then what we do is we all complain, basically complain about this boss, that person, that client, and how we are worried and we are unhappy with what we are getting, the bonus and the salary and blah blah blah, all these problems, or talk about celebrity news or the dramas. Not that, I used to enjoy like the celebrity news and dramas and movies and all of that, but like I really wanted to, I just realized that I didn't want to go up the corporate ladder. So I remember trying to update my resume, and I wasn't able to do it because I wasn't feeling inspired. And for me, that was one thing. Whenever like I didn't feel intuitively pulled to something, it was really hard for me to do it. And so I sat with it for about a year, but I tried, and then just like, okay. And then I started to continue to do all this like studying. And I remember at one point, my goal was to read one book a day through like audiobook, or even two. Like I would just like fast forward everything and then just like take on all this like stuff. And that was how I used, like how much I disliked being in that structure. And then the 2 years before 2018, I stopped making lunch appointments with people unless there were some times I would miss interacting with other colleagues. So I would make some appointments, and I enjoy that freedom. And if I had have to have lunch meeting with the client or counterparties, that I would do it. But then I wanted to use that time for my own improvement, and I wanted to invest in myself. So that journey all started way before this whole spiritual awakening or initiation, that I would say I opened up to all this spiritual aspect within myself. So it was very rigorous. And then I wanted to share all this knowledge that I was learning and experience from working with all kinds of different people in the corporate structure that I was in, and these companies, and the words of positivity. So as a child, I remember loving collecting all these wisdom quotes, and I used to make this little pocketbook where I would write down all these quotes that I was resonating in different times, and I would call it my own Bible. And then I remember whenever I need some guidance or help, I would just open it, and then I already had that knowing of synchronicity and signs. Even though I was deep in sleep, I didn't know what I was doing. I was feeling pulled to it. And whatever that was showing up, I felt resonating, and I felt like it was guided with the quotes and stuff like that. And so I used to remember collecting all those things, and even from Christian scriptures or Buddhist texts, all different religions, whatever that was wisdom oriented, I was really pulled towards it. And I remember what they're saying is all same, but they're having different idea, different gods and all of that. So for me, I guess I already had that inner soul knowing. And so I stopped. So I used that lunch hour for myself, because it was all for other people all the time. And then yes, that's when I was starting to learn about Wim Hof breathing and all of that. So at night I would breathe in and breathe out. There's techniques, very easy, that anybody can do. And then I would actually put in oxygen into my body, and then alkalize everything, and then move the air up and down. I was already working with my own chi, and then putting it into the brain, because whenever I did that, even when I had a little break in the office, whenever I'm tired, I remember having this boost of energy and the clear brain in the mind. So I was doing it every night, and then that's when I activated, because I would pull the air up and down, and I was already doing that in hindsight, because my soul already knew how the energy works. So it was activating my third eye and this whole crown. And then one night, boom, third eye activated, the crown, I felt this crack opening up, and then I was seeing all these things. And then with that, the spirit, I was really able to I was really guided by my spirit team, with very signs, and very on my face, do this and do that and learn this. But every time I had to face fear, because it was the unknown. For example, about the idea of past life regression, I never heard of that before. I was aware about the hypnotic like therapy that some people doing, that they go back to their past life, and I was always very fascinated by it because I have seen some of the TV shows that they did with some, celebrities. Um, and then all of a sudden it's popping up, and I was even scared to click the link because it's like I never did the research or nothing, none of that. And then all of this, like, that's how it came. So there are all these different stories that I can share, but that's that's how it worked. So when you do your own research, you want to stay neutral to collect information, data, and perspectives from different areas, and then you want to meditate, meaning sit with it until if anything is not feeling or sitting well with your intuition, you want to stay put and then stay still with it, not draw any conclusion out of it, because otherwise you're going to just chase after out of desperation or fear for a solution, and that could mislead you, misguide you to certain things. So that's something that the Spirit Team Source and Gaia wanted me to share. And this is something that is coming up for me to share, so I'm just going by my own intuition. I remember listening to one of this live talk with this young, I would say, K-pop star, or in this boy band, and I recognized him as a starseed, and he was telling all his fans in the live broadcast that not to drink Coke or all this beverages because it contains this and this, because his soul already recognized and knew. That's what I got. And then I remember because all it's divinely guided, all these things, the information, experiences. I had this other time where once again it was the same guy doing this live with the fans, and he was sharing all this oh, don't drink too much Coke and don't drink too much this, and all of a sudden I think the manager or someone mentioned that they're now the brand ambassador for these companies. So he's like, oh, then okay, I got it. And then he immediately spoke less about it. So that's how all this idea tied to it's enslavement. You're the brand ambassador for this fashion brand, ambassador for this product, for that product. What's going to end up happening is a lot of children are going to suffer with hormonal imbalance. And nowadays on social media, a lot of parents, in a way, they don't think that they're using their children, but in a way they are, because they tasted the money, is what I'm going to share. It's very direct. They started tasting the money because at first the intention was pretty pure, because they wanted to leave a record of their babies and children. But they start to get a lot of compliments, recognition, and then followers, and then they're starting to get sponsorships from these big brands. Now their babies are becoming the testbed taster, so they're eating all these chocolates, all these snacks, all these instant foods. They're being sponsored with and they're 2, 3, 4, 5. And nowadays in Korea, I don't know about other countries, even the babies without teeth are starting to eat meat. From what I've learned, there's a reason why you're only eating really certain types of food until the baby fully develops the teeth, because the function of the teeth is to digest. Is sort of in a way also an indication that they have developed a certain aspects in the digestive system, so they can digest all this hard stuff like meat and other foods. So before they're eating like smoothies type of foods or something they can only swallow, right? But nowadays they're feeding pasta, they're feeding pizza, snacks, everything, and they're on social media. So I don't know how it's going to affect people or the children as they grow up, reach their teen or even later. And it's all going to show up. What I'm getting from Source and Gaia is when they reach the age of about 30 years, because I've heard from the source that I trust that we lose, I don't remember exactly, but 70% or 90% of our stem cell after we after our 20s. So that's why our metabolism like drops and all the function suddenly drops and you start to age. And before you didn't have to exercise as much to lose certain weights or like poop, but now like you're having all these like issues or starting to develop more and more and more. And it shows if you are investing in your body and food and nutrition, you age differently from that point onwards. Is because of the stem cells that we are losing. So and this was all part of the human genetic manipulation that took place long time ago. So we are now having to reactivate the new cells, the new stem cells and all this. So yeah, this is what is coming up. So I'm just going to share whatever that is coming up, because I trust and believe that is all divinely guided and timed. Whatever that I'm sharing, all the stories that seem like I'm digressing here and there, but it's all part of the purpose, is what the Source and Gaia and my spirit team are sharing with me. So I'm just going to let these things come through and trust. So you want to do your own research basically, and a lot of the chemicals put a really toll, like heavy toll on our body. And I sometimes have to really appreciate the resilience of this systems, this body that has been supporting me, because I was doing a lot of different things. At one point I had this addictive habit of like binging, because I was like emotionally deprived because all this karmic stuff that I was carrying and all the stress from work and all this like environment. And I didn't realize that I was finding comfort, emotional comfort, through food. So I started to like, and then with certain foods I would eat and then I would still get hungry, especially like instant noodles, because I realized that it didn't have any nutrients or nutrition. And so, but then I didn't realize about other sources of foods at the time. So it's all divinely timed, because I was not able to discover this back then until at a certain point in time later. And I had to experience all this like pain and suffering in order to basically transform and come to the light. It's all part of the soul choice. So also they want me to talk about the wheat. So from what information that I received from a source that I trust, around 1950s, I guess with giant corporations and all this like backed up money behind the government, all connected, they started to hybridize the wheat. And before there was like a hybridization, but then this time it was like really like hybridized. So the enzymes in the wheat are very harmful for our gut. So it's like you're putting like a basically like a rubber or rock to the gut, so it's really hard to digest. So that's why a lot of people are developing like gluten sensitivity. So these enzymes are messing up our gut, and gut is in a way our called second brain, because it's connected to our brain. And when you are having a digestive issue, you get a brain fog. So that's one of the symptoms. Whenever you eat food, instead of getting energy, what we've been doing was we feel tired, we get sleepy. It's because of that. A lot of the chemicals and hybridized, like manipulated, like gene mutation within the food source. And nowadays, I'm really concerned about all the fruits and vegetables the children are getting, that they're heavily pesticized, especially like strawberries absorb like the pesticides really easily. And unless it's verified source, kids love strawberries, and the parents think that it's healthy for them, and they consume, and it's full of chemicals. That's one thing. And not to mention a lot of the sugar in the products, the refined sugar, there are no nutrients. It's the cause of the inflammation. And also, so when the hormones are messed up, it's going to affect our mental state, emotional state, psychological state. So it's all messing up the system. So that's how they want to penetrate into or keeping people asleep or enslaved or in that chaotic state, constantly in search for something. Because when you look at all these addicts, it's enormous dependence, and I experienced it with sugar. Sugar addiction is one of the most difficult. And also, as you go through this, what they want me to share is you want to be also kind to yourself and not feel guilty or not over push yourself or judge yourself. And a lot of the times nowadays, a lot of the exercise or the foods are based on how we appear on the outside, losing weight, and how we look, like with muscular body, that's as a body image that's considered like attractive or wanted, something like that, right? This culture, that age that we're living in right now. But when you look at different culture throughout the history, different body types were considered, or different beauty standards. So we're just being played part of this old pattern. So you want to always focus on what gives you energy, and what depletes your energy is the key message here. Whatever you eat, if it's boosting your energy and more brain clarity, then and it's organic, natural source, and you experiment with your body, and that's what you're experiencing, it is in alignment with the system here. Well, when it's not, it's against, it's eating up the system, is what the main message that they want me to share. And don't get confused with all this, or I would say dazzled, chase after quick fixes, solutions, and also all these like multivitamins and all this like vitamin supplements. They're a lot of the case, they're full of chemicals, they're lab made, so you want to do your own research and find the really clean source of these supplements if you want to incorporate into your daily diet or something like that, for example. And nowadays they come up with this idea of plant-based something, plant-based this and that. So that's another marketing tactic and scheme that you want to also verify and discern with. And and also all these milks like oat milk, almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk that you see on shelves. When you read the labels, there are chemicals inside. What else? What else do you want me to share about this nutrition and DNA regeneration? And you also want to make sure that you are, when you're incorporating certain exercises, you want to start being more aware of spine health, because that's the where the energy moves, and it's connected to our brain. That's going to also help activate our upper chakras, and it's very important. So I don't know if I'm guided. Maybe I will share some of the exercises that I do regarding that. But if that's what my team wants me to share, then I will do it. So anything else? So there are a lot of things that I would like to share with that I'm also incorporating in my day-to-day life. For example, using essential oils. So a lot of the ancient cultures and wisdom shared about the healing properties of using herbs and essential oils. And you will see, I found a lot of these practices still like handed over in Egypt or in like these Asian cultures here, in some of the Western cultures as well in Europe. And we want to take all this wisdom. Also, there are a lot of wisdom from Vikings, the culture of the Vikings. So if you carry this DNA in this lifetime, for example, you chose that, okay, I'm going to carry that bloodline and DNA to clear something up, or on a purpose. You may be like a Scandinavian person in this lifetime with blonde hair, blue eyes, right? It's all the avatar that we are playing, right? That you may carry those wisdom. If you are an Asian person like me, black hair, like this tone of skin, and you have certain DNA that contains certain information from this bloodline. So everyone can unlock these gifts within, and as we clean up our diet that's in support with this energy support, like the higher light codes and solar flares, it has to be working hand in hand with the nutritional cleanup. And for example, like we were taught that calcium is important, so the calcium supplements for your bones and stuff, and they used to promote milk because it has a lot of calcium inside, so you're to drink milk or all of that. But look now, they're promoting oat milk, a lot of oats that are contaminated, or you want to be careful, or I would say more delicate with these subjects when it comes to your digestive system, how it works with your body. You could be working well, especially a lot of the influencers on social media where they do like food tasting, and like before 30, they may not really experience signs or effects, but as they go through that experience, it could be part of their soul contract or soul journey experience that they chose to experience and experiment with. But they have to suffer the consequences of the choices that they make. In a sense that I'm saying that those choices may not be the healthiest choice for them, but at the end of the day, it's everyone's freedom to make their own choice. So we are not to judge anybody, because everyone is in a unique journey and unique soul experience that we don't know about, that they don't even know about yet before they wake up to it. So it's not our job to do that, but to talk more about the truth of what's really going on and how these things are working in our body, and share wisdom if that's going to help someone who needs it at this time. So for example, the calcium, like the bones, you need like all these minerals to make this bone health, not just calcium. So you need bromine, you need other stuff, also calcium, everything, like I don't know, like more than 10 like nutrients and minerals. That's why we the seafood like sea moss is considered a very good source of these, like a lot of these minerals, because it contains a high number of minerals there. Or the sea salt or the Celtic salt, the natural source already has all these minerals and stuff. And the last thing I mentioned also about the seeds in the fruits, Spirit wants me to remind those of you once again, if there are no seeds, lemons, oranges, watermelon, grapes. Now, I was shocked recently to discover papayas, now they don't have any seeds inside. What else? Apples. It's getting worse and worse every year. Whenever I travel around, I come back to the city again, or I go back to Korea after a year or two, I discover all these hybridized foods, genetically mutated fruits that children are eating. So I'm really concerned about the children. And the parents believe that it's good because it's fruit. That's what we've been taught. So I'm very cautious with, I'm discerning whether, even though it says fresh juice, I always ask if it's like 100% and fresh. And also, I usually do not get watermelon juices because I don't know if they contain seeds or seedless watermelon. And all these things that you have to like discern and put extra energy into right now. If it wasn't, it would be like so much less chaotic, a lot more peace and simplicity in life. That's where we're moving into with the age of Aquarius kicking in. Simplicity with nature and nature sources, where once you experience that life. I found this restaurant here, or I was divinely guided, I would say, because they kept showing up. And I visited them. It was like organic foods only, MSG free, other additives free, preservatives free. And they were using certain sweetener from natural sources. And when I visited the restaurant, I learned that the owner has been vegetarian for the past 20 years, and they had a little shop where they sell all this organic stuff. And so I was able to get certain items, and I enjoyed the meal, even though it was very much cooked, but it was like all vegan, vegetarian type of Malaysian or like Indo-Malaysian food in a way, which I missed having, and just dining out. And then in a way I was experimenting whether my body would react with certain, because my body, especially ever since 2018, the energy just shifted and like activated all these clear abilities. I can sense all this like subtleties, and so it was okay. And I felt like, wow, this is how much I can feel at relief and at peace and just enjoy, and very simple. And it's also tasty as well. Because I remember getting like all this Indian vegetarian foods when I first visited here, and I would start to get like all this like skin like issues, and I didn't know back then. But back then I still had a lot of certain cravings because I was like earlier part of stage of cleaning my system, so I still had that addictions, or the body still remember certain things compared to now. Now I also have a little bit of that, but it's a lot more, I would say, less dependent on those things. So yeah, I learned that they use a lot of MSG or flavor enhancers, even though they use a lot of these like ancient spices. So that's what I had to also discover through my own experience and experimentation. And so the more you discover the truth, the more you may find anger with, or like this injustice over something. But what the spirit and what my spirit team, Source and Gaia, want me to share is that just accept as part of the journey right now, and just observe. And you're here for a reason, and you chose to experience these things because this is a very dense, once again, place. I would say a lot of like debate over right and wrong, people killing people, harming one another, which is very, in a way, savage mind. But that's what is prevalent in this planet right now. But once we are inside, we don't realize how savage, or how, meaning like savage not in a like cool term, but like something that we are not supposed to harm each other. But all this, I would say, programming is encoded in our DNA, that when you kill something or step on a bug or you're harming animals, you feel bad. That's part of the DNA programming, but they're trying to get rid of all this programming of this humanity. So with all this like systems and chemicals and conditionings and the source, that is not just affecting the mental, but like the physical. So because I've lived through a lot of these things myself, I know what it can do to people, like the children. And we need all these children and star seeds to go through this transitional period for the next few decades. So we need to start having more awareness of what we are putting into our body, and get out of the desperation or lack mindset. When something is not in a good condition, the ancient cultures or the wisdom from ancestors, they used to not eat those foods, not touch those foods. But here nowadays, everything is tied to money. And so, I'm not going to waste my food because I don't want to waste money, or I can't afford this, or I can't do that. Like all these affirmations that we are using, or that we are conditioned to use without realizing, it's affirming, meaning it's creating your reality, that it wants you to sit with lack, that energy of desperation, and the idea of limitation, so that you continue repeating the cycle. So you always want to say, you discern, you only put in what's best for you, and that you do not compromise with these things, and that you always thank, and you share love and kindness, right? You appreciate what you have in the moment now, because you're lacking nothing. So even just a bit of food that you have, when you eat with love, it tastes different, right? When you eat with anger, your drink will taste worse. So when we are having fun, happy, loving, the world becomes pinkish, right? Everything looks jolly and merry and loving. That's what happens when you're in love. But when you're cynical, when you're angry, when you're complaining all the time, you can't taste the food, you can't taste the good of everything that's surrounding you, because you're not able to recognize, because you're so focused on this one perspective of negativity. So yeah, it also ties to the food, and also the relationship with food that we have developed, that most of my life, from a certain point, I believe from the moment I entered college, I started to develop more awareness of this body image, right? All these certain diets and women that have to look thin or look a certain way. And nowadays, like, it's very heavy in Korea, like all this body image, right? And just in many other cultures. And then we start to subconsciously fear certain foods, or feel guilty after eating certain foods, or hate certain foods. This energy exchange is taking place. And so with that, I would like to end the message or this video that is coming right now as a channel message that the Source and Gaia also want me to share about, is about the upcoming full moon in Scorpio. So we are having this full moon in Scorpio. Oh no, not in Scorpio, Taurus, but it's going to be in the Scorpio Taurus axis. So another, again, North Node, South Node axis, or the paradigm that we're working with the energy, with the cosmic energy or the celestial energy right now, that we are to transform in order to recognize our value and worth as who we are, and accept ourselves as who we are. That's the energy right now. So the Taurus represents the security within. So a lot of people may have been feeling or had to face issues of insecurities through different triggers that may have come up throughout the Scorpio season this year, so that they could release those things, insecurities, where they were developing patterns where they were seeking security of emotions and mind and the physical body through external sources. They're to shift internally and recognize that they're worthy outside of money, that they're worthy outside of job or work, that they're worthy outside of these circumstances, right? That they're worthy outside of the level of income, for example. They're worthy outside the number of followers. Well, okay, so, or they're worthy outside external recognition. They're worthy outside of looks and appearances, right? They're worthy outside of external validation. So, for example, or external comments from people, that if they get compliments that they like, oh, okay, like I'm this. If they don't, they're like sad, or they get disappointed, or they get anxious. So all these are conditions because we are not conditioned. So yesterday I went to this temple and I discovered this saying. The title was White Universe, and basically this master who was who built this temple, I believe, where they worship in a way, or they look up to this master, and they have this like separate area where they could bow and pay attribute to the teachings of the master and the wisdom. He was basically about what came was Heart Sutra. So you can look up Heart Sutra. So the Heart Sutra is about this like principles of the heart, that is the emptiness. So the more you go in, it's empty, it's infinite, and it's infinite depth. That's how your love and light is, infinite depth. So that's the idea of emptiness, the Heart Sutra. And I took a photo of what they put on the wall, because it really resonated with me, touched me. Like, even though you don't have much to eat on your table, you do not compromise the truth of something. And even though you do not have this, you do not compromise your truth. You do not. So basically, it's not compromising your truth to all these external conditions. And basically, it was saying, you are the truth, you're not conditions. So that's the last message that my soul, and with my spirit team and Source and Gaia, they're like communicating as I'm sharing all these things on videos whenever I'm on camera. So they're with me, and they also want me to share that message out for anyone resonating, because at this time we want to embody the value and the worth of who we are as we are, and get ready for the age of Aquarius, where a lot of things are going to expedite and speed up. A lot of things at the same time, a lot of the issues will arise still, and the chaos and confusion. So we can stay centered in our heart space and not compromise our truth over other things or temptations that may come along the way. And so that's why it is important that we ground our energy. And this is the last time that we'll have the Capricorn Pluto with this Taurus full moon energy. So this is very significant in that sense, that we want to secure, ground our energy. And part of the grounding is the food source that we put in. Also, you can go out in nature and connect with nature, of course, but really come to the senses of everything, and live on the ground and accept your worth and value on earth, that you are welcomed here on earth as you are. So accept yourself as you are, accept your worth, and recognize your value as you are, without all these conditions that we've been taught: titles, jobs, looks, money, finance, all these ideas that we are being conditioned with, that is limiting your beliefs or potentiality of who you are, because you're limitless, but you may be, or we may be, constantly limiting ourselves with certain perspectives of how things should be or how things are. So with that, one of the grounding practice that you can do is to always practice feeling grateful for where you are, who you are, whatever you have. Bless it with love. You are the source of love. You are the source of blessing. And appreciate everything, everyone. You may discern, you may detach. You don't have to talk or connect, but you can still be in that presence of that energy. That's part of not dimming your light, but staying lit up in this chaotic world right now, that you want to stay honoring your light. You want to stay in love, and you want to always choose faith over fear, so you can trust that the divine is helping you, supporting you, guiding you, protecting you all the time. And that you have this power. There's nothing that could overpower you, or this like entities or stuff. When we get overly into it, out of balance, that's when we get manipulated. So you always want to remain in your own center, in your own sovereign power within, in your own love and light, okay? And also honor, respect, love, and be kind to your body and your inner world, with all this abundance that we are surrounded by, even though there are a lot of things that are trying to go against who we really are. But at the same time, there are also things that are in support of us when we align with it. So that's the last message. And that I have to continue eating, but like I hope that this message helps anyone who's connecting with it, resonating, or simply enjoying just listening, or tuning in. I appreciate you for being here. And I wish you perfect health, balance, inner peace, harmony, unconditional love within yourself. What else? Truth, integrity, honesty, sincerity, abundance. For example, all these blessings and gifts surround you inside and out that you can also share with people around you, situations around you. So you become the beacon of light. You are the source of light that lights up the world around you. So we are not here to change the world, but we are here to go within and transform. And that's how it's all helping the world. Right? So I hope this helped, and I hope you enjoy your own meal wherever that you are eating, wherever you are. And I wish you a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.